Hello there and welcome. Welcome, beautiful spiritual cosmic traveler and seekers of the spiritual psychic path. It's Psychic Cynthia here. And I just wanted to make sure that you knew that the celestial energetic skies have been clearing this month, in the month of October 2021. Maybe you weren't aware, maybe you were, but at one point in time we had, 7 or 8 major planetary retrogrades this past fall. We've been having many retrogrades at once. But this month, earlier this month, I'm filming near the end of October, so I'm filming around October 25th. So already this month we've had Mercury go direct. That was on the 18th. And we just came up out of the post-retrograde storm, so that's good. Yay! Yes, Mercury is direct. We also have now Jupiter direct, Pluto direct, and Saturn direct. All these planets went direct this month. And for those of you who don't speak astrology and you just speak English, what that means is that the planetary energies are, many of them, they were on a pause. They were very slow. And there was an increase in confusion, and also we had to go back over old ground. We had to redo things, and you might have noticed it was harder to get things done. But also there was a lot of confusion that can come with retrograde. So this is starting to clear up, and especially with Mercury retrograde. Most of you have heard of that by now, I think. Well, with Mercury direct, let's just say that now that Mercury is no longer retrograde, there should be a gradual improvement with each passing day of you being able to go back and deal with some issues that you had been putting off. Now, there can be some drawbacks to when planets go direct, because I think one of the main drawbacks, I don't know if it's a drawback, but it's different than what people think. And what that is that when planets start going direct, a whole bunch of them at once like this, then yes, some of those issues you've been putting off dealing with, you feel as if you suddenly have to start dealing with them. So you can actually see a flaring up of old issues, but it's not really that they're flaring up. It's just that now you're having more clarity. You're able to more clearly see, and also to figure out maybe what needs to be done about it, or just simply to figure out that something does need to be done. So sometimes when the retrograde's in and all these planets start moving direct again, there can be some problems that seem to come up, but they really aren't coming up now. They've been there all along, and they've been germinating, and it's just as if you're just now really seeing it. So that is happening right now as we speak in late October 2021. And I think especially with the Mercury retrograde ending and Mercury direct, we're going to be riding in the shadow of that a little while longer, until precisely, I believe, I don't have my notes with me, but I believe it's November 3rd. So between now and November 3rd, there's a lot of realignment that still needs to be done, and a lot of interior realignment. It's as if you're getting back on your solid footing again, okay? Because you start to feel with these planets going direct, you start to feel as if the ground underneath you is becoming more solid again. I think most of us do. So there's that sense of, yes, you can finally put your feet down in place. You can get some groundedness, because the retrogrades are very ungrounding, very ungrounding. Retrograde energy is very spiritual, and it's kind of cool because it's easier to move between the vels and the different realms, spiritually and psychically speaking. But then clarity isn't always there, and especially in terms of getting things done or just dealing with issues in the physical realms. It's easier when you have Mercury direct and other planets direct as well. We do still have some retrogrades. We have Uranus and Pluto in retrograde, and Chiron as well. I know a lot of people don't, put much note on that, but I do. But it's a lot better than it was, okay? Like, it's a lot better when we had all these other planets. We had Jupiter, Saturn, and Mercury, for example, and Pluto. Pluto's not in retrograde. Uranus and Neptune are still in retrograde. Pluto is clear, I misspoke there. So we just have Uranus and Neptune. That's not too bad. And there was a lot of confusion when we had all those other ones too. So now that's starting to clear up. But it doesn't happen overnight. Clarity doesn't happen overnight. So listen, it's going to take some time to rearrange your interior reality as well as your exterior reality. The exterior reflects the interior. But do keep in mind there's a lag time. So even as you're getting your interior world back together, you're starting to feel more calm. You know, you're just able to be not quite as reactive. There's a lag time for that to reflect in the physical world. Now, part of becoming more of a spiritual master yourself, part of awakening, is you step into that magic zone where you start to shorten that lag time, because manifestation and, you know, the expression of these interior energies into the outer world, it is possible for it to be instantaneous, you know, for the very high enlightened spiritual master. Most of us aren't that though. But hey, if you can start shortening that, that's better. Okay. And I don't know how you do that exactly. I do know it's not just about your own interior reality, it's about timing. Now, before I end this video, I want to make one other prophecy related statement here, and that is, well, relating to this. Somebody had asked me, who read one of my astro forecasts. By the way, if you don't follow me on Facebook, if you're not subscribed to my cosmic newsletter, you probably should do that if you're interested in this kind of inspiration information, because I post on there and do my newsletter a lot more often than I do these videos. Okay, I love to do the videos, but they do take some time, so it's easier for me sometimes just to, you know, go on Facebook real quick and make a post or send out my newsletter. That actually takes a lot more time, but I like to do that. So anyway, on Facebook, there was a conversation. Somebody had replied to one of my posts. I think it was Danny. So shout out to Danny. Thank you. And, you know, she was replying about Mercury retrograde, and I said there would be gradual improvements from this day on out for getting our things done and getting our lives in order. And she asked me, she said, do you think this will apply? I'm paraphrasing, okay? But basically, do you think this will apply to the overall collective energies? In other words, do you think, you know, society at large will start to improve and, you know, come into a better place because of this Mercury going direct? And my short answer was that, well, no. Mercury going direct is not enough to outweigh the larger forces at work here. Okay, that is a short answer, but that's not my real whole answer. And basically, you know, Mercury affects our personal lives and our day-to-day workings, but it does affect us profoundly. And, you know, I also could say yes on this, because if you think about it, if more people are feeling better, feeling more calm, have more clarity, more equilibrium, I mean, that has to affect the larger society. So maybe I should say yes. But the thing is, these forces of the larger society, it's more what shapes that. Unfortunately, at this time, what shapes the collective energies more are the subconscious energies. And these larger planets that move very slow, they're going to have more of a profound effect, because they activate things in the subconscious. And the collective, what we call that, is really a reflection of larger subconscious patterns, as opposed to conscious patterns. I don't know if that makes sense. You've got to think about this a little bit. So the energies, the larger energies and the larger subconscious patterns that are driving society at large right now, I would say, from the Western astrology perspective at least, have more to do with Uranus and Saturn. The Uranus and Saturn square that we're having this year. That would be Saturn in Aquarius and Uranus in Taurus, which neither of these planets are very at home in those particular signs. So we see a lot of conflicts, you know, relating around, you know, authoritarianism, actually. I would say authoritarianism and stubbornness. Also stubbornness just on a more like interpersonal or social level in society. As we interact with each other, there's a lot of rigidity and stubbornness, and, you know, you've got people on this side, whatever the side is, it doesn't matter. They think they're really, really right, and they don't want to budge, and people on this side that also think they're really, really right, they don't want to budge. And there's not a lot of compassion towards each other flowing right now. And we've got, families dividing over things, people getting fired because they don't want to, do what somebody else wants them to do, to their bodies. We've got people that are afraid for their lives, because they're afraid of, what's going on right now. I mean, I really need to elaborate. I think you can see, if you're even halfway aware, you can see these patterns of rigidity and stubbornness that I'm talking about, and also self-righteousness, because Uranus and Taurus and Saturn and Aquarius, these are fixed signs. And the fixed signs, they're wonderful for stabilizing energies, but they are very, at times, self-righteous. It's a dark side of the fixed signs, especially that Saturn in Aquarius. It can be very self-righteous, and when I think of that combination, I think that is like an idea that the ends justify the means, that idea. I don't agree with that idea, by the way. I absolutely do not agree with that idea because there's this thing called karma. Okay, so if you say, well, I have to do this crappy thing to achieve this great goal, but if you harm people in the process or hurt them, there's always karma, okay? So I don't know, maybe sometimes the ends do justify the means, but you have to say to yourself, are you willing to pay the karma for that? And that's something to think about. I hope our leaders think about that now. I hope they start to think about that, because some of the things that are being done, they are unleashing a terrible karma for themselves, a terrible future path. It would not be the karma I would want to create for myself. But you know what? We can't decide for other people. That's the other thing. So you have to try to make your own way the best you can, creating as little karma as possible, and walking on the Dharma path. And listen, if you don't know the meaning of these terms I'm using here, all I'm really saying, to put it in English, is that actions have consequences in the spiritual sense, that if you harm another, especially if you harm a lot of people, but if your self-righteousness or your lack of mercy or compassion, harms another, and especially if you know better, okay? Some people don't know better, and that comes into play, okay? If you're ignorant, then there's less karma with it, less consequence. Still some, I think, but less. But what concerns me is I've seen many people that I would have said, at least in the past, were more spiritually aware, spiritually enlightened, and they've kind of done a flip, and they're in a lot of fear right now, and not coming from a very compassionate place towards others, and there's going to be a heavy karma for that, because if you have been, a little bit further along the path, if you have awakened, and then you let yourself fall back asleep, well, it's just hard. It's just, there's a high price to pay for that. Okay, but if you have friends like that have fallen back to sleep, okay, or maybe they've never awakened, show compassion for them, show love. That's what a higher evolved person does. That's what a spiritual person does, whatever your spirituality is, whatever your path, whatever your faith. But unfortunately, no, Mercury just going back direct is not going to clear up this longer pattern of rigidity and worrying. The other thing to look at, and I know a lot of you probably don't follow this, but I do. I also follow the Eastern astrology, or the Chinese astrology, so the animal year signs. We are in the year of Ox. I believe it's Metal Ox. I might be wrong. I think that's right, Metal Ox. And Metal Ox is just Ox, period. This is a very rigid energy too, and it's kind of, it has its pluses, but it's basically a year where you just have to trudge along and get work done. Is it Metal Ox or Earth Ox? I got mixed up on that. I don't know. Okay. I think it's Metal Ox. It is Ox though. And so in an Ox year, ox in the ancient, times, they were yoked. These are beasts of burden. And I think a lot of us feel like that. Don't you feel yoked in this year? in one way or the other, whatever your opinion is on these different issues, you know, that are going on. I think many people feel yoked, they feel burdened right now. And so what I would encourage you to do is to work with these energies and to open to your guides. Call upon the celestial, the cosmic, the psychic guidance. Call upon your angels, the higher guides, and also your ancestors, your passed on loved ones, the earth spirits. Call upon them and ask them to help you carry your burden, your burdens. Ask the guides to give you fortitude. This is a word I've been meditating on a lot lately. Fortitude. Because it's something we need right now. We need great fortitude in these times. Next year, well, I won't go into that now, but from the Chinese astrology perspective, next year is the year of water tiger. And this will be an interesting year indeed. Tiger, in any of its forms, you know, tiger is seen as the king of all the earthly animals. Now there's dragon, but he's celestial. Tiger is a brave warrior. Tiger is strong. And tiger is an exorciser of demons. I didn't say exercise like I'm working out, you know. No, I said exorcise, as in clearing the vibration, standing up to evil, standing up to wrongdoing. So I don't know if there'll be a lot of peace in the tiger year, but I do believe that, you know, that sense of standing up, that sense of sovereignty, of coming into your own inner power, and, you know, and by the way, this is not in a political sense. It could be, though, for some, but these are spiritual videos. Understand, I'm really talking about breaking free from the negative thought forms. I believe that there are negative thought forms that have a hold on us right now, that we've allowed to have a hold on us. And, you know, and that's not to say that I think none of this is real. Well, okay, this reality we call the physical world, it's real in a way. I mean, in the way that, like, if you were trapped in a video game, it's real. Okay? But it feels real to us. Okay? It's our reality that we're experiencing. And in this reality, there are things, of course, that have happened that are not cool, very difficult, very hard to deal with. But also in this reality, the thought forms we respond to and the energies perpetuate the reality or create a new reality. So I believe that tiger will help exorcise our inner demons. It will help exorcise our fear. It will help us to be more brave. And that is, you know, 2022. That's next year. So for now, we're just trudging along in the year of Ox. Okay? With that damn Uranus-Pluto square, or excuse me, Uranus-Saturn. So anyway, but the good news is there are less retrogrades, far less retrogrades, and I think that's going to help, and perhaps we can work on the conscious level to continue to become more conscious of some of those energies that we may have allowed to control us, and to free our minds. So you all have such beauty inside of you, such a potential to be such grand creators. You know, I don't really think of this reality myself as a fallen reality. I do think of it as a place where, you know, it's sort of like a virtual garden where we can create. But we have to remember that we are the creators, our co-creators. We co-create with our guides and with the energies of the spirits that are around us. And if we don't remember that we're co-creators, well, then it's easy for us to just be used as tools by somebody else's energies. And we're seeing that a lot this year. We're seeing, you know, people are just being, you know, used as beasts of burdens for somebody else's agendas. So wake up, think for yourself, tap into your inner self, you know, get outside the mental static. If you can do that, then you can create your own personal breakthroughs, regardless of what's happening around you. All right, until next time, I'm Psychic Cynthia with my guides, and sending you many, many cosmic blessings and much love. Bright blessings.